All right, so we've all gotten used to AIs spitting out answers like lightning, right? It's super impressive. But what if? What if the real game changer isn't how fast an AI is, but how deeply it can think? That's what we're diving into today with Gemini 3, an AI that's being built to do something wild. Actually think before it talks. I mean, really think about that for a second. When you or I have a really tricky problem, we don't just shout out the first answer that pops into our heads. Nope, we stop, we think, we kind of walk through the steps in our mind. So what if an AI could do that too? That's the core idea, the big what if that's driving all of this. And that right there is where Gemini 3 enters the picture. Look, this isn't just another small step up, not just a minor update. This is a total shift in thinking. We're talking about moving away from AIs that are basically just incredibly fast encyclopedias and towards something that feels more like a reasoning partner, an expert you can bounce ideas off of. Okay, so the big question is, how on earth does it actually do that? Well, the secret sauce, the core feature, is something called deep think. You can think of this as the engine under the hood that lets Gemini 3 just pull apart really tough problems. And we're going to dive right into how it works. So what is deep think mode? It's pretty much what it sounds like. It's like instead of just telling the AI, give me an answer now, you're telling it, hey, take a second, think this through properly. But the really critical part, the bit that's a huge deal, is that last phrase, validate its own work. The AI isn't just thinking, it's double-checking itself. It's looking for its own mistakes. And for things like accuracy, that could change everything. And here's how it pulls it off. It's a pretty straightforward three-step dance. First, it takes a big, hairy problem, say a really complex piece of code, and breaks it down into bite-sized chunks. Then, it logically works through each one of those chunks step by step. And then, the finale. It runs through its entire thought process, making sure it all adds up before it even presents you with a final answer. It's like showing your work in math class, but for an AI. But here's where it gets even cooler. This whole deep think thing, it's not just a simple on or off button. What's really, really interesting is that we, the users, actually get control over how the AI thinks. We get to adjust its thought process. Yeah, it's basically like a knob you can turn. You can set it to low, and you get those zippy, instant answers we're all used to. Perfect if you're just asking a quick question or having a simple chat. But if you've got a really gnarly problem, you crank that dial up to high. That's when you unleash its full reasoning power. It's about having the right mode for the right task. You're in the driver's seat. Okay, now this next feature, if you've ever been deep in a project and had to stop for the day, you're gonna love this. You know that awful feeling of coming back the next morning and trying to remember where your head was at? Well, Gemini 3 has a fix for that, and it's called thought signatures. The way it works is just so smart. You're in the middle of some heavy-duty work. You can just tell the AI to pause and save its entire train of thought as a signature. Then, whenever you're ready, hours later, even days later, you just load that signature back up and boom, the AI is right back where you left it. It's like a sieve state for an AI's brain. No more wasting time trying to get back up to speed. All right, so we've talked a lot about how Gemini 3 thinks. It's deep, it's controllable, but what can it actually do with all that brain power? Well, this is where it gets really practical. This is where it transforms from just a thinker into a doer. It's all about something called agentic capabilities, which is just a fancy way of saying it can take action on its own. And this is where all that deep thinking really pays off. Because the AI can now make a plan with multiple steps, it can also carry out that plan. So you could literally just say, hey, plan me a trip to Paris, find the best flights, book them, and then put all the confirmations right into my calendar. It gets the whole goal, breaks it down, uses other tools to get it done, and sees it through to the end. That's not a search engine anymore. That's a real assistant. So let's just pull back for a second and look at the big picture here. Why is this such a big deal? Because this isn't just a new feature. It's a fundamental change in our relationship with AI. We're not just using it as a clever tool anymore. We're starting to work with it. It's becoming a partner in reasoning. And I think this quote just nails it. For so long, the AI race has been all about speed. Who's got the fastest model? Who can generate text in a nanosecond? But that's changing. The next big thing, the real frontier, isn't about speed. It's about depth. It's about building AIs that can handle nuance and truly think their way through complex stuff. Which really leaves us with this one massive question to chew on. Once we have AIs that can genuinely reason with us as partners, what's next? What huge problems are we going to solve? What kind of breakthroughs in science or medicine or even creativity that seemed completely out of reach right now? What if they suddenly become possible? That's the future this is all pointing to, and honestly, it is pretty exciting to think about.